Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Thanks massively to the subscribers. It really helps the channel and I really appreciate it. I'm going to do a book tag, so I haven't been tagged in this, but I've seen loads of versions of this and I really want to do it. So this was initially composed by Michael Romeo Talks Books. He did a really good initial video. He was a bit reticent about whether or not it was original or not, but these prompts are original, so it's a very cool book tag. So I'm going to start off with the first question straight away. So the first question is, name a book that was better as the film adaptation. So what film was better than the book? So I'm going with a fantastic short story, Who Goes There, by John W. Campbell. One of my favourite short stories. It is a brilliant story, but it was made into two films. So one film that was called The Thing from Another World, which is good, from the 50s, but then an absolute masterpiece in the 80s by John Carpenter, The Thing. This is such an incredible film. It's a perfect film. It's, you know, the dialogue is brilliant, the acting is phenomenal, the effects by Rob Bottin are absolutely stunning, absolutely just out of this world. I don't think there's any better example of physical effects in any film but The Thing. And the direction is brilliant by John Carpenter. The music's by Morricone, and that's really creepy and atmospheric and brilliant. It's such a perfect film, amazing. So because this is so good, then it's better than the story. But the original story is really good, but this film is ridiculous. So John Carpenter's version of The Thing. Then the second question is a book that's better than the films that adapted it. So I have to go with one of my all-time favourite books. It's definitely in my top 3 books of all time. I Am Legend by Richard Matheson. So I've talked about this loads. I've done my own video on this book myself anyway, and I did talk about adaptations in that film, in that video as well. And there's been 4 different versions of this book. The most recent one is the most famous one, the one with Will Smith in it. And when they released it, you know, when they said that when they released the news they were going to make it, they went on about the fact it was going to be like the book, and I was like, oh my god, they're going to make it like the book. Yeah, it wasn't like the book, and it's such a shame. And there's been all these 4 different versions, and they're not like the book. The one in the 70s with Charlton Heston, The Omega Man, is arguably the closest, but yeah, still not right. So yeah, I Am Legend, much better as a book. So if you've seen those films, or you've been tempted to see those films, read the book. It won't take you long, it's quite a short book. It's an amazing book. Question number 3. What book would you like to see made into a movie? And what cast would you put to that film? Okay, so I've got a few here. I've got 4 for this question. So, first one. I've talked about this book a few times before. I absolutely love this book, Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames. This would be a cracking film. It would be funny. It would be very violent. It would be thrilling. It would be just an awesome film. And Neil Marshall would be a great director for it as well. So Neil Marshall, who did Dog Soldiers, and he directed the Battle of the Bastards in Game of Thrones as well. He'd be a good director for it, Neil Marshall. But who would I cast in it? So there's 2 main characters. I mean, there's the mercenary of fighters in it. The band that get back together in it are 5 mercenaries, but there's 2 main ones. There's Clay, who's like the one that gets the most dollar, kind of the leader of the mercenary band and almost the POV character in a way. Clay Cooper, he's a big guy. I get the impression they're all big guys, but I reckon it would be really cool if David Harbour played him. So you'd know David Harbour from Stranger Things. I think it'd be really cool if he was the central guy. And then there's the kind of second in command, if you like, the guy that kind of sets the plot going, because it's all about rescuing his daughter, and that's Gabriel. And I think Gabriel could be played by Michael Rooker. I think that would be really cool, because Michael Rooker's got a bit of vulnerability about him as well. I think that would work really well with Gabriel's character and this idea. I can see Michael Rooker trying to plead with Clay to help him get his daughter back. It's such a good book, and it'll make a great film. So Kings of the Wild, that's my choice for the cast. for that adaptation. And then also The Island of Dr Morrow. So lots of people on BookTube will know about this book because it's an absolute classic. It's a great book. It's been made into a film a few times. I know there's a very famous Michael York version, and is it Jack Palance or is it? No, it's not. Is it? Is it? Burt Lancaster? Is Burt Lancaster? Don't know. But anyway, it's quite a good version. But it'd be nice to see it nowadays, and I'd love to see it directed by Cronenberg, because he'd probably make the creatures that are the results of Dr. Morrow's experimentations really interesting, I think, and quite grotesque. And I'm going a little bit Doctor Who now with this, because for the cast of characters, for Edward Pendrick, I'm going to suggest Christopher Eccleston. So he's like the main character in the book, and he gets shipwrecked on the island and then discovers what Dr. Morrow's doing. And for Dr. Morrow, I think it'd be really cool if Peter Capaldi played him. So I think he'd do a really cool mad scientist, and he'd be full of wonder about what he's doing. And Christopher Eccleston would be good at the shock and the do you realise you're playing God kind of character. So yeah, I think that'd be a nice adaptation. I'm up for that. I'd watch that. And then this book here, A Song for a New Day, Sarah Pinsker. I've championed this a few times. I think it's a really good book. It's a book about when there's a pandemic, the city life has been made really tense through terrorist bombings and through mass shootings, and basically the government have clamped down on public gatherings, and live music has been banned. And there's a musician called Luce who's trying to keep her career going as a musician, and she sort of taps into the underground music scene. It's very cool. And I thought what might be quite cool, because I've just seen her in Orville, and I think it would work really well, and I think she'd bring a lot of charisma to the role, and I think she's got quite a lot of depth in her acting, and that's Anne Winters, who played Ensign Burke in the latest season of the Orville. I think she'd be a really good actor to do this. So if they adapt Song for a New Day, I reckon that'd be a good casting choice. Oh, no, one more. And that's this one. This is a book series. This is the first book, just one damn thing after another. I need to cast Max. So who would you cast as Max? I think Max would be played really well by Natalia Dyer, who plays Nancy Wheeler in Stranger Things. I think she'd work really well with this, and she'd be quite good at being kind of sort of reactive to what's going on around her, plus a little bit clumsy and a little bit awkward, but also looking really bookish and intelligent and all that sort of stuff. So that'd be a good shout, I think, for just one damn thing after another. It's probably been adapted already, I don't know. I imagine Jodie Taylor's getting calls all the time for it. So that's the answer to number 3. Number 4 is, what movie or TV series deterred you from reading the book? Okay, so my response, I have got all of these, I think, the Game of Thrones books. But it's not because I didn't like the series. I love the series a lot. Some people say the books are miles better than the series anyway, but I really love the series, so that seems a bit strong. But yeah, I've been deterred from it just because I was enjoying the series so much, and it wasn't the sort of thing where sometimes a TV series or a film can whet your appetite. But I felt like it had done such a good job that I felt like it was probably giving what the books would give me, possibly. Although I know that a lot of people say there's loads of characters that aren't in the series and there's a lot more depth in it, but yeah, that's my only answer to that, really, because of the sense that it wasn't that the series was bad, but it just felt like it gave me what the books would give me. Please comment away if that's crazy. Number 5, a favourite book or TV adaptation. So I've got 3 answers to this, and all 3 books I've got of these are up in the loft, so I haven't got them to show you. But my favourite book to TV adaptations are The Martian by Andy Weir. Amazing book, an amazing film. Misery, Rob Reiner's adaptation of Stephen King's Misery. Amazing book, an amazing film. phenomenal film. One of the best King adaptations, I think, easily. And Coraline. So I think Coraline's a really good, underrated film. I think it's really good. And it's a beautiful book. So Neil Gaiman's Coraline, made by, was it Henry Selick that did Coraline? Question number 6. What previously adapted book would you like to see remade and improved on? So, my answer to that is I'd love to see a new version of Gulliver's Travels. So, there has been loads of versions of this, and there was a comedic version recently from Jack Black, wasn't there? So that was about 10 years ago, was it? Something like that. So that's fairly recent, because there's been loads over the years, over the decades. But I like a serious adaptation where it looks at the philosophy in the book and the anthropology in it, the comments about human nature, the comments about society, because it's a very deep book, and I think just to write it off as a comedic thing is a bit of a missed opportunity, I think. So a nice new serious adaptation of Gulliver's Travels would be really cool. Question number 7 is what book series that's been adapted is your favourite? A very clear winner, Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings films are just an insane achievement in cinema. All 3 films, I think, are beautiful, powerful, well characterised, beautifully acted, phenomenally directed with the pacing and all that. So some people go, oh, it's just loads of people walking around, but it's like, are you even watching it? There's loads going on. Yeah, no, I absolutely love those 3 films. They were such a huge thing, and it's just a huge surprise when Fellowship of the Ring came out. Obviously, once you get to Return of the King, people are used to the other 2 films and they're not so surprised. But when Fellowship of the Ring came out, it was like, fantasy films don't get made like this. What is going on? How did this happen? So yeah, huge achievement. So Lord of the Rings films, I think, tower above anything else as far as fantasy and science fiction, as far as a cinematic achievement. I think they're amazing. I've got a question here that doesn't exist in the thing, but I've prepared a question, or I've prepared an answer. So I'm going to say it's number 8 because I can't see it. So what book series would you like to see adapted? And if you can throw any cast ideas in there, it'd be good, because I have got some ideas for that. So I've got 2 answers. So the Swords series from Fritz Lieber about Fafhrd and Grey Mouser. So Fafhrd and Grey Mouser were 2 thieves, but one's a kind of like a giant and one's a nimble, thin thief. And I'd love to see this adapted. Maybe a short-run Netflix series or something would be cool. But they must have had meetings about this, because these are really old, so it must have been talked about. Same as the Elric books, must have been talked about at some point. But I'm going to cast it as well. So for Fafhrd, kind of possibly an obvious choice, but I think it'd be nice to see Fafhrd played by the very charismatic Jason Momoa. And I'd love to see the Grey Mouser played by Sam Rockwell. I think that'd be awesome. I think Sam Rockwell is just amazing at anything he does, but I'd love to see him as the Grey Mouser, who's one of my favourite all-time characters of anyone, anywhere. I wanted to make some honourable mentions, films that I haven't read the books of, and some of them I've got the books of. Just 2 books I wanted to mention, actually. Children of Men. So it's such an amazing film, but I haven't read the book yet. But I imagine the book's really good as well. But it's such an amazing film. So Children of Men, one of my favourite films. I thought I'd mention it, but I'd love to know, and I need to read it, whether or not the book is as good, better, or whatever. And also, I still haven't read One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So I should have read that. I haven't read it, but obviously the film is a masterpiece. So I'm hoping when I read the book, I'll love that just as much. And also, just wanted a big shout out to Planet of the Apes, because Planet of the Apes is a really good book, the initial book. And I love that book, and I love a lot of the films. So 3 of the initial 5 films I love. So the first film, and I think it's Conquest of the Planet of the Apes and Battle of the Planet of the Apes, I think, are the other 2 that I really like in the initial series. And I love the last 3 that were made by Matt Reeves as well. So Planet of the Apes book is good. And I love this series of films that have come out based on that book as well. They've been awesome. So there's some really interesting adaptations that have been made over the years. And that's my response to the books to film adaptations tag. Thanks for watching. See you later.